I can hear it now. Band take the field, and out of that eastern tunnel pour 215 well-drilled, well-disciplined Michigan bandsmen. They pour over the eastern sideline, they pour in the big block in, and they play the greatest college fight song ever written.
Hey, what's up, Seth? How you doing, dude?
Hey, people actually like the show, or at least no, the people who commented like the show. But usually, when people are upset, they're more likely to comment. So the fact that we didn't get negative comments kind of tells me that nobody in the entire world dislikes this show, and it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be the next hit on YouTube.
I don't see any haters, There's no haters. I just ate a salad for lunch, so if there's anything in my teeth, make sure to let me know. I'm trying to be healthier these days,
Sure. Fortunately, the stream's so bad from my end that I can't tell. Everything
Good.
in your face is just digitally blur anyway. So if there might be a little thing on there, I wouldn't be able to tell at this point.
I think that's the old ugly filter came on, which is fine, helping the viewers out. So
I'm
Seth,
pretty sure you have a
give me.
nose.
I have a nose. Yeah, I do. So as far as this past weekend went, I told you it was gonna be a trap game. You told me there was nothing to worry about. Which one of us was right?
Well, we were both half right. Because
Yeah.
you hit your half, and then I got my half. Now, I mean, we didn't get to talk about it much on the podcast. Maybe David and I talked about it a little bit on there, but the Hart situation, I think it's impossible for us to quantify it, right? Because they're not the players. We kind of have to go to them to talk about it, but I kind of think that was part of it. I'm just charting them, even on the defensive side. They don't have the sharpness that they've had all season, and then it kicks back in the second half. And there are some things, but I felt like Michigan, especially now that I've gone over the game film a few times here, I think that Michigan really kind of didn't take them that seriously and didn't need to. And that's a 31-10 outcome against Indiana when you're only trying half hard and Indiana's selling out against your stuff and you're not going to change it up is probably, a perfectly fine result if you still think of Michigan as a contender.
Yeah, win's a win. I mean, I think we've got a tougher opponent coming up this weekend. I'm not convinced that Penn State's rush defense is as vaunted as it looks right now, number one in the country. But I'm not convinced.
But I mean, I don't want to dog Penn State right now because they're so much better than anything else we face this year, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
well, you got some stuff you wanted to get into from this past weekend. Not necessarily this past weekend, right? Because it's a little boring, and what we're going to see from Indiana might not translate to anybody else. So what do you want to look at?
Yeah, well, the one thing that translates, I think, is that Michigan really used the opportunity. They're like, okay, Indiana's going to pass a gazillion times. I know there's screens, but they're going to pass a gazillion times. So let's practice our base coverage, which is cover 3. Michigan is a cover 3 team, right? There's a lot of things you can do when you become a team that does this a thing, right? It doesn't mean that's the only thing you do. It doesn't mean that you only do that thing one way, right? It's just like being a power team, that they run power in different ways and they have different things they do in the middle of plays. But I thought Michigan fans ought to understand the basics of cover 3 and how Michigan runs it, and most importantly, the whole buzzing and the whole thing about going through the flats and making sure that you cover areas that are not your zone on your way to your zone, because that's how cover 3 only works. And it's also probably relevant this week because, as we all know, Penn State is synonymous with the guy who invented how this defense is played today. Now, cover 3 has been around forever. It's just dropping 3 guys deep, and every single high school runs it because it's the simplest coverage to teach.
Yeah.
But the guy who turned it into a system is the guy whose name is just absolutely synonymous with Penn State. It's the first name you think of when you think of Penn State, and that's Jerry Sandusky. I don't know if this is what he was famous for, but he had a lot to do with creating this system. Anyway, it's a very popular system. Nick Saban, his whole system, his pattern match system, is a cover 3 system as well. So it's not this is weird stuff that Michigan's running. It is a very, very common thing that they run. And
Yeah, and
here's
Seth,
how it
just to
works.
get into a basic, like just to give the basic level of a cover three, you're dividing the deep ends of the field into thirds. So you got
Right.
one safety covering a third, you got the cornerbacks dropping back, and then you have linebackers covering the flats in the middle. And it's a way to try and like you said, guys are running through different zones, and you're essentially creating confusion, but you are dropping back into your zone. So yeah, that the illustration looks great. Walk us through it.
Yeah. I mean, so the holes all have the zones all have names, and like you said, linebackers are usually your help in the middle, and you get a deep middle third safety in the middle. Those guys are your help defenders. Their job is to look around, see who's coming to their zone, look them up, and be the help, right? And then guys on the outside, a lot of times they end up sticking on dudes. Then this is how you can change things up on it. But the key in any cover three system is if you I don't know if you can see my mouse when I play with it here, but
Yep.
when you see this area right through here and right through here, this doesn't exist in cover two. This is a cover three problem that they just do not have anybody covering these seams, right? So the way that cover three goes from just being a spot drop to a system is you have to have a way to cover the seams right off the drop, right? This guy's going to release the slot receiver is going to release. You need to have someone to stop him if this guy's going in the flat and this guy's dropping out. Same thing with his tight end, right? That guy can go right down this seam and who's on him. So what you do is your curl flat defenders, these guys who end up becoming the flat defenders, their job is to defend that guy before they get to their zone. So their first job is take away that seam. And it's called buzzing the seam, right? You stay on top of it for a second, and as soon as he gets into his route or he gets on top of him, then you can go into your flat. And this creates the weakness of cover three. Because as long as this guy is buzzing, he's not covering the flat, which means the flat is open right away. And you'll notice, the one thing Michigan fans kind of get annoyed with is that, there's a lot of hooks. There's a lot of like little plays that are right in here, right?
Yeah, a lot of like little quick wide receiver screens to get to the outside because there's
Exactly.
nobody out there on leverage. And
Exactly.
we get annoyed with them, but and knock on wood, there haven't been a whole lot broken deep because there are players over there to cover if that completion is
Right.
made.
Right. It's a pretty safe coverage and it's more conservative coverage. But the idea is as long as you're buzzing. Now, if you don't buzz, you can get out there sometimes. So if teams start really kind of attacking that area, all you do is you have the cornerback start down a little lower, and he's just reading the eyes of the quarterback. So if they try to throw that a hitch, he just breaks on it and steals it. So
Yeah.
you don't want to attack that weakness too often. You end up in pick sixes. But in
Well,
general,
one
if you're just playing your cover three, you're going to be dropping that cornerback back as much as possible, and then letting him stay deep, and then you got four defenders, which should be plenty to cover the first level.
Nice. Well, one cool variation as a former fat lineman that I really enjoyed was, when the tackle or the nose gets an opportunity to take 5 steps back into the middle, and a lot of times this works if you have a lot of shallow, short crossing routes from a tight end that they're running. You'll actually disguise it and you'll blitz a linebacker, but then one of us big guys gets to waddle backwards and have a chance to
Right.
knock a ball down with our big meaty paws that can't catch. So that was always
Yeah.
fun for me. What do you
Well,
think about? We've seen that a few
that's
times,
definitely
right?
part of this. I mean, part of this system is it's great for zone blitzing because a lot of guys, because you've got the same system, right? Like you still need to have um, somebody running through here, right? But it could be this defensive end. He could drop with this tight end, take that, and then go in the flat, right? This guy could take this one too. You could switch it up. You could have this guy come up here and take the hole, and he can come down here, right? Or he can come over to this side, and he can come and be the curl flat defender. So a lot of different guys can get to different zones, and so we're gonna now we've got the that. I just kind of wanted to show you it in action, right? And you can see now this is Michigan just playing out of base. They got their one high. They're not, and that's the thing about Indiana. Indiana spreads you out, so you have to get in your base. You have to just do it. You don't have guys close enough to each other that everyone can take different roles and create confusion. It simplifies things. It gives the quarterback a simple play. You go one direction with the ball, and they're very simple reads. That's how their offense works. Michigan right here is going to be practicing their cover 3 on it. And there you go. There's a quick, easy 5 yards right in that spot, right? There's that spot right
Yeah.
there. Cornerback's dropping. He's buzzing, right? Now watch it one more time, and I can go slow motion for you. I guess I can't. It's crashing there. But yes, you see that he buzzes the flat, and because he's got to buzz the seam, Moore can't really get to that in time, right? And you can see it's the same
Yeah.
coverage on the other side. Buzz. Watch it one more time. Buzz. Get to the flat. See that? So
Yeah,
that's
and
how
Seth, I
Michigan
think this
plays
is
defense.
part of the reason that you see teams so often try and run little picks and things in a zone, because if you notice, trying to buzz through that zone, if you get just a little bit of your timing thrown off, that can get broken deep to the that can be a nice play for Yak on the outside right there. So watch that one more time, but you'll see the receiver is actually really the one that initiates the contact here, and
Yeah,
I think that's an interesting part of it.
And that was part of Indiana's strategy too, because Indiana will do that. Unfortunately, I moved on to the next copy of
Oh,
it.
no worries, no
Because
worries.
I want to show you what
Let's see the
happens
next
when you
one.
don't buzz. All right. So right here, this is Quentin Johnson. He's our 5th string safety. He's in because Caden Colasar is injured, and Indiana runs so many plays that you guys get tired. So we got our 5th string safety out there. He's not going to buzz. He's going to get right to the flat, even though he doesn't really have much to cover there. See how he just gets out of the way and just waves his hand? Now, DJ Turner, our cornerback here, is a star, and he breaks that up. So look how DJ Turner's set up on this guy. He's actually in position where if you don't buzz the flat, or sorry, if you don't buzz the seam, he actually can get over there because he's on the numbers. He's not on top of this guy. So that's another thing you can do with it is skip the buzz, and if your cornerback is good enough, he can get over there. That's one of the things. If you watch the other side, they're definitely doing the whole buzz thing, right? Buzz gets over there. But Michigan was getting a little sick of getting attacked in the flats and started to play a little bit. Now, I gave him a minus there. I thought he should have buzzed him anyway. But, you see Michigan's counting on the fact that they've got a superstar over here. And even with all this space in here, he's going to get over and make the play. And you know what? They're right. So
yeah, it worked. It worked.
Can't fault Michigan for running that coverage because they got the.
No, Seth. I mean, I think that's a great explanation of our base defense, and I mean, you see a lot of different wrinkles coming out of all those sets. But the cover 3 is something that we're going to see all year long. Is that what you expect us to stick with, or do you see any surprises?
Michigan to
coming with
play a lot of
different
cover
teams?
3. And I expect that if you're watching a Michigan game against Penn State, because they're gonna sling the ball around, and it's what they want to do against Penn State. They want to create pressure. They kind of don't trust Penn State's offensive line to pick up all their pressures, and part of their whole pressure game is just having different guys drop into different cover 3 zones. Now they'll play switch. I showed you one example where they don't buzz and they just have the cornerback kind of move over. That's kind of a trap version of it. So there's lots of different things you can do with it. It's not just like, one play. Okay? And it's not like you call cover 3, and if you get cover 3, you're going to win if you go to the hole, right? There's a lot of variation to it. But I think that you just saw enough. If you understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, that when you're out there watching it against Penn State, I'm sure you'll see this, and I'm sure you'll see, the slot defender buzzing the guy and then getting over to the flat, and you'll point and be like, "That's cover 3. I just saw that on the Seth and Matt show." So.
Yeah, well, and one of the things that I think people need to realize with zone defense in any sport, but with every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if you see a blitz from the strong side, from the weak side linebacker, you're going to see somebody filling in that space. Zone is all about filling in that space, and so that really helps you understand what's going on in a defense. If you understand that if there's a stunt, if there's a blitz, if somebody's coming off the edge, that somebody else is dropping into that zone, because that's what a zone defense is. To oversimplify.
What I want people to take away is that this is the kind of thing that you'll be able to spot. It's not that hard. You just saw it. You saw what the buzzing looks like. You'll be able to see that while you're watching the game. It's not like it's super hard. Oh God, you have to identify the exact coverage and the exact kind of thing. And coaches love to use lots of words, especially when they're talking about it on Twitter or online or whatever, right? They're going to make it kind of sound difficult and complicated, but the base of it, 90% of it, is pretty easy and the kind of thing that any fan who's watching the game will be able to understand. And then you'll kind of be able to see how things are going and maybe even spot some things that are a little weird about it when they do it and then be like, oh, that was kind of cool. So hopefully that
Yeah,
gets
man,
through
absolutely.
in the game on Saturday.
Absolutely. And so Cooper didn't have a whole lot of appreciation for his picks last weekend. He didn't do as well as the first week, but we're going to go over to him. He's gonna rebound. He's coming back. Coop, what do you got for us this week?
All right, hey Coop, not the best week last week, but that's okay. You can make it up this week. So back close to 500 on the year. We're gonna pick Big Ten games this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you excited?
Yeah.
All right, Nebraska and Purdue. We got Purdue minus 14. Who do you got?
I got Nebraska covering.
Okay, and then you got Wisconsin, Michigan State. Wisconsin is minus 7.5.
I got Wisconsin winning by more than that.
All right, you think the Badgers are gonna roll?
Yeah.
All right, Maryland, Indiana. Maryland 11 minus 11. What do you think?
I think that Maryland is going to absolutely crush Indiana.
Okay. All right. Good. And then we got Illinois, Minnesota. Minnesota at minus 6.5. What do you think?
I think Illinois will win
You think Illinois is going to get them?
outright.
Outright. Okay. And the big game of the week, Battle of the Undefeateds, number 10 versus number 5, at home versus the Nittany Lions. Probably Gus Johnson talking like that. What do you think?
I
Who do we
think
got?
Michigan will win.
All right.
will
What's the
win.
line?
7.5.
Minus 7 right now. It says minus 7. You got Michigan, though?
Yeah.
All right. Coop, good picks this week. Good luck. Love you, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, who's your best player of the week? Who do you think's gonna be the best?
Blake Corum.
What do you see coming from Corum?
150 yards and 2 touchdowns.
150 yards and 2 touchdowns?
Yeah.
All right, man. Go blue.
Go Blue.
All right, awesome. So Cooper, good luck this week. That's why they call it. Well, they don't call it gambling. That's why they call it making picks for fun. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Seth, why don't you go first and talk me down this week? Our little segment where we try to make sure we're either not too high or not too low.
Okay. All right. You gotta talk me up here. Once I saw Taylor Upshaw absolutely destroying Indiana's offensive line as well, I was like, is this really our line's that good at pass rush, or is it Indiana just the worst offensive line in the history of the Big Ten?
So you're thinking it was fool's gold? Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, anything against Indiana's offensive line is going to be a little fool's gold. It was just, I was getting so excited about Okie, and I was getting so excited. I'm like, oh, and then look, Braden McGregor had a good pass rush, and look at Derek Moore, and then it's like, and look at Taylor Upshaw. Oh. Right?
Yeah, I think what I would say is, do we have anybody that, Okie looks awesome, Morris looks awesome. I think those guys are going to get through on anybody. I don't know that we can expect consistent plays, 2 or 3 people down the depth chart. What I will tell you is that we have a depth chart. It feels like we have bodies in there, that we have the ability to rotate. And so are we going to lead the Big Ten in sacks the entire year? Are we going to go and clean up? And to be honest, we have done very well when it comes to putting pressure on the quarterback, especially because we were all worried that was going to be our biggest weakness this year. Are we going to have 5 sacks against Ohio State? Probably not, but that's also because they're not going to throw one holding penalty on those guys. So
you're talking me up now.
But are we going to be able to put pressure on all year? I think we are. I think we're going to be able to put pressure on. And I think part of it comes from the cover 3 we talked about, where we are putting pressure on from multiple different angles and we're making the defense think. And, that makes up for some deficits significantly. So I'm excited. I really like Minter and what Minter's doing. It almost feels like a more aggressive version of what we saw last year. And the fact that we didn't have to start over has been awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think that Minter's running stuff that they installed last year is just when you have the option of sending Aiden Hutchinson after them and just be like, okay, you go rush, you pass rush. Like, you don't need to come up with very complicated things. You can just be like, Aiden Hutchinson, go kill the guy. And then Aiden Hutchinson kills that guy and kills another guy. And you're like, okay, well, now we've had our pass rush. Yay. So I don't think they had to get that complicated last year because they had the ability to do what they were doing. We're not talking about Aiden Hutchinson level players, but Mike Morris is looking really good, and Yabioki's looking really good. He might pass Jalen
Yeah.
Harrell sometime soon. Like it's getting there. So, all right, that's not my talk me down though. My talk me down is Michigan just played maybe the easiest 6 games they've had since the '70s at least to get to 6-0. Okay, they've looked very vanilla, especially the last few weeks. It's like they're leaving things on the table. They're creating tendencies to the point where Joe Klatt's calling them out in the middle of the game, where he's like, they don't do this, they don't do that, or when they use motion, they're not. And we've been talking about they haven't passed one time out of the pistol since Big Ten started. I think not only is it a big, I know that I'm not all about like, okay, set it up, set it up, set it up, pay it off. I think they've been running so little because they've been practicing so much for the games that they have to win that they're just like, why they're not even going to run pistol in this game. They're not even going to use those same motions in this game. Everything that Penn State's preparing for, because they're like, okay, they're going to play action us off of this. We know they are. Not even going to be in there. They're preparing all sorts of other things, and they're just practicing easy vanilla things because they had such easy vanilla, teams that they're playing. And Michigan actually does have some really good ideas that you're going to see on Saturday. There you go.
All right. I think I don't know which way I'm supposed to be talking to you on this. All right. I'm going to
You have to
try.
talk me down now. You have to be the one.
I'm going to try.
Like, no. Harbaugh's always
I will
done
do
this.
that. But first I'm going to tell you, vanilla is my favorite flavor of ice cream. And there's a reason that vanilla is, on every store shelf and every fast food. Vanilla is delicious. Okay. So lager beers are delicious. If I'm going to have a beer, I'm going to start with a lager. And if the light beer is good at that brewery, I know it's good. Right. So if the light beer wins and if the vanilla wins, then stick with it. What I will tell you is that I am nervous because the few times we've had open deep balls, the few times we've had a chance to break the edge, I'm not seeing the big plays out of anybody but Corum that I would expect against inferior defenses. So I am a little bit nervous that we are not dominating without the wrinkles. Now we're making things happen. JJ, to me at this point, looks like a Cade McNamara level game manager. And that's not what we all want and expect. I'm not saying he looks bad. I mean, what is he, 27 of 35 or something this past week? I mean, he's the most accurate passer in the Big Ten right now, but every pass is 5 yards. I'm excited to see
Spencer Rattler out there. You want to see him flinging the ball.
I want to see a little bit of fun. So I think that there's a chance that we can't do it. And that's the reason we're not doing it. I think it's a slim chance though. All right. So that's where I'm at.
Okay.
All right.
That's a good talk me down. Thanks. All right.
Talk me up. I haven't been to a game this year yet, which is really strange for me. I don't know if it's because I turned 40 this past year. I'm getting older. It's a long day. I don't know what it is, but like, talk me into going to the game this weekend. Tell me why. Remind me.
I mean, there's a reason 100,000 people do this, and there's something that makes people sports fans that no one's ever really been able to just say. But being around a bunch of other people, that many other people who are all cheering along with you in a big game where you know who the players are down the field. And I mean, you spend so much time in your own little bubble, in your work bubble, focusing on that, in your people that you talk to online, whatever social media you use. Maybe you have in-person people, like talk to people in person during the week, but that's coming less and less, right? There is something different that you need as a human being about being around other people and cheering for something and wanting something and experiencing something with other human beings. And they've never done it better. There's no stadium that's done it better. There's no program that's done it better. Even though all the complaints I have about Michigan, there's a reason why it's the biggest stadium in the world, and it's the largest number of people watching a sporting event anywhere in the country because it's the
Anywhere in
best.
America today,
It's
it's the
because
best.
it's the best. We
I'm getting
are the
goosebumps right now, I
greatest
think.
university in the
In the
world. And then they
world.
come out under the banner, and the band's out there, and the leader touches her hat down on the floor on the grass. Yeah, yeah. And your kids are with you. I mean, it's come on. It's so great. It's so great. This is a little bit of a tangent, but one time I interviewed Bob Lipson, who is the guy who created Michigan Replay, and he ran it for all those years, and then they stopped under Rich Rod. It wasn't really Rich Rod's fault, but everyone blamed him for it. But when Hoke came back, when Hoke took over, they asked Bob if you want to bring the show back, come back and do Michigan Replay, and he said, "No, I can't." And they're like, "Come on, Bob. Listen, I finally got to see a game inside Michigan Stadium. I'm not going back. I'm not giving my Saturdays up again. This is the greatest thing in the world." So man, I could sit in the press box if I wanted to, but I don't. So this is there's nothing better than being in that stadium. Nothing.
I agree. I agree. I'm looking forward to getting back for the Michigan State game. I'm not going to be able to go this weekend. Cooper's going, though, with his uncle and my sister. It'll be a great time. All right. So, talk me down. I think Ronnie Bell is the best receiver we've had in 20 years. Top to bottom, his speed, his catching ability, his blocking. I can't think of anybody overall, entire skill set, plus great teammate, leader, that I would pick over Ronnie Bell in the last 20 years of Michigan football.
And 20 years ago, you're getting in like 2004. We had Braylon Edwards. He's the best receiver in the country. Um,
I think he's
I
different.
think that you've got you you could make a case that Ronnie Bell's effect on the game is similar to Braylon Edwards' effect on a normal game. The ceiling for Braylon Edwards was just off the roof. Um, and Ronnie Bell, he came close at the beginning of last year, but we haven't seen that ceiling yet. Now, he owes Penn State one, right? And Michigan hasn't gotten to really use their receivers much, so maybe this is a game like last game was a big one for him, and he does come up with big plays when you need him to. Uh, there's been just a little bit off this year. He's not quite getting that extra yard that he used to get. He's not always getting around the guy he would always get around. Um, Now he's not Steve Breston, right? The
Yeah.
I mean, he's functioning. Manningham, I guess, is the next one that Michigan had. Um, Jason Avant was definitely one of those guys.
He might be a good comparison. Jason was a little bit bigger,
Avant's
but
your stereotypical possession receiver.
yeah. But
Avant
he
just had
blocked. He
ridiculous
blocked.
hands. He
Yeah.
blocked.
He,
Well, if you didn't play for Carr, you couldn't block.
that's true. That's true.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can come up with a direct comparison for Ronnie Bell out of many guys that have played. I compare other guys to Ronnie Bell. But yeah, he's a fun one.
What about Roy Roundtree? Roy Roundtree would be fun. I mean, he's a
Skinny.
better play.
Yeah, he was
Too
never a
skinny.
great blocker. Was Roundtree.
Yeah, that's right.
He was a good jump ball guy, way better than people gave him credit for. Had very good concentration. He was never much of a blocker. A lot of his yards were just created by the fact that defenses were freaking out about Denard Robinson, right?
Oh, I missed Denard. Well, Seth, I think that's all the time we got for this week. What's your prediction
Man,
for this weekend? What do you think?
I didn't talk you up.
Oh yeah. No, wait, you didn't?
No,
I thought I had to
to
talk me up.
too. Yeah.
Oh, I did. You talked me up about going to the game. You're wrong.
Oh.
There you go.
So
all right. What do you think this weekend? No, we don't edit anything around here. All natural. What do you think? What's happening this weekend?
I think Michigan wins 42-27. That's
I think that many points, huh? I think we're gonna empty out the playbook a little bit compared to what you've seen, huh?
The playbook, I think that they're going to get some runs with Singleton and kind of break our linebackers a little bit. And Sean Clifford is a good quarterback. And the guy's been beaten up so much that it's just like, everyone's wondering every single time, like, okay, is this guy going to have the ability to get up again? He always has the ability to get up again. He'll get up again for this game. Clifford is going to surprise you, even though he's still also going to get beaten up. And that's why I'm like, Michigan's going to be able to score. I think that Penn State's going to be able to score. Their defense is actually pretty good, which is why I'm a little nervous about making that prediction. But I'm kind of locked into that score all year, so I'm just going to keep saying it and saying it and saying it.
I am going with a nail biter. I think we're going to hit a 51-yard field goal to win 29-27. I think the crowd's going to go wild, and I think we're going to be looking at the Michigan State game at the end of this month thinking, hey, are we running the table into Ohio State? And we were going to look at.
Got to watch out for.
I know, always got to watch Illinois. Well, I'm certain that we're going to be doing a tailgate for the Penn State game. I'm going to be there, or for the Michigan State game. Excuse me. We're not doing the Penn State one this weekend. Wasn't able to get it together, but I'll post that on the blog when that's all together. It'll be an open invite. We'll get beer from Five Shores. Just wasn't able to arrange it as last minute. But Seth, are you in the press box, or are you going to be out there cheering loud this weekend?
I'm going to the game. I'm wearing Michigan gear, and I'm going to the game.
All right, man. Wear your maize. It's a maize on, all right?
Yeah, we're ready to go.
All right. Yeah, I still got my pink on from the Iowa game. Hey, go Blue, man. Great talking to you. We'll connect next week, hopefully with some smiles on our faces.
All right, Matt. See you.
All right. See you, Seth.